now we're ready for section 1.1. It's about angles, degrees, and arcs. This is kind of the beginning of trig. There's lots and lots of angles involved in trig and distances that we can learn to calculate on a piece of paper, which will tell us, we can learn how to calculate little things on paper, which will tell us what's happening in real structures in real life. The distance between big things in the ocean or on land or in the sky. It's the beginning of how we can learn to calculate all these things. So there is some geometry involved in this, and we're going to begin there. It says on your worksheet you have a blank is formed by rotating a blank around its endpoint. And so what goes in the first space is an angle. This is where we start. An angle is formed by rotating a ray around its endpoint. So it may be a while since you've heard the word ray, but a ray is kind of like half of a line. This, for instance, is a ray. There's an endpoint and it goes off forever in one direction. And so this is the endpoint of it. And so if you rotate a ray about its endpoint, if we rotate this up or we rotate it down, we form an angle. This is what this sentence means. So let's just rotate it up, and right here we formed some angle. And I'm going to call that angle theta. That's a Greek letter, theta. And so I'm going to give it some labels so we can talk about it. Let's just say that this endpoint is P, the point P. I'll put a point on this initial side. This is called the initial side of the angle. It started here and we rotated up. That's the terminal side. But this is going to be Q. And I'll give some point on the terminal side R. And so let's talk about the different ways we can name our angle theta. We could say that this is called the angle theta. We could say this is the angle P, or we could say it's the angle theta with that symbol, or the angle P, or we could use more letters to describe it. We could say it's the angle RPQ, or it's the angle QPR. Or we could replace that with the word angle. Those are all the different ways we could talk about this angle theta. Let's see. It's important to know whether an angle is positive or negative. And so if you think of a clock, clockwise is 1, 2. This is clockwise, right? Clockwise. And so counterclockwise would be rotating it the opposite way. This is counterclockwise. In trig, when an angle rotates counterclockwise, it is a positive angle rotation. This is positive angles. When, clockwise yields a negative angle. So for instance, in this little angle theta, where I said the initial side is here, and then we rotated it this way, which way did we rotate it? We've rotated it counterclockwise, so this would be a positive angle. If we had some initial side here, and we rotated it this way, let's rotate it down here, that would be a negative angle, because we went in a clockwise direction. So that's just something to take note of, and that we'll be using that throughout the course. Okay, so then the next thing on your sheet says angles that have the same initial point and terminal side are called coterminal angles. Coterminal is what goes in that. I'm going to be drawing some. I just want you to get to fill in that space. Coterminal is the word that goes in that next blank. We will be discussing that. Here is a way that here's the initial side, here's the terminal side. Here is an angle I can draw that's coterminal with theta. I could rotate it all the way around and then come up again like that. That's just, for example, we'll be practicing that, so don't be too worried about that right now. Let's see, the next thing it says is there's a couple of blanks. It says a blank can be divided into blank and seconds, just like an hour is divided into minutes and seconds. And so a degree can be divided into minutes and seconds, just like an hour can be divided into minutes and seconds. And so it looks like this. Here's the conversion. 1 degree is equal to 60 minutes, and 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. And so this is what I mean by that. Here is a circle. We'll pretend like that looks like a circle. There we go. All right, so how many degrees are in a circle? Hopefully you guys are familiar with that, but we have divided up a circle into 360 degrees. So that's how we talk about degrees of a circle. So, but what about if you're halfway in between 1 degree and another degree? Or what about if you're like a fourth of the way between? So how do we describe that? There's 2 ways we talk about parts of the degree. One is decimal degrees. A fraction of a degree. So you could have something, for instance, we could have 32.729 degrees. This is part of a degree. This is called decimal degrees. Another way we could describe that would be in minutes and seconds. So for instance, you could talk about another angle. I'll pick a different one, maybe 45 degrees, 20 minutes. We get 1 tick mark to indicate a minute, and 32 seconds. This is another way to describe an angle. So we're about to learn how to convert between degrees and minutes and seconds, or decimal degrees. So this is how it goes. There is a feature on your calculator that you can use to do that, but I'm also going to show you how to do it by hand, just so you can just know both. So right here, if I wanted to convert 45 degrees into decimal degrees, this is what I would do. I would say, 45 degrees is the first, this is the whole number part. And then I would say plus 20 minutes over 60. This is going to give me a fraction part. And then I say 32 seconds plus 32 over 3,600. And I would add this, and this will give me the decimal degrees. So let's just do that with our calculator. I'm going to take 20 divided by 60, which gives me 0.3 repeating. And then I'm going to add 32 divided by 3,600, and that gives me 0.342222. And so I'm just going to round it after three places. And so altogether, this is going to be 45.342 degrees. So I've just converted an angle that's in 45 degrees, 20 minutes, 32 seconds into 45.342 degrees. These are equivalent. If I want to go backwards, if I'm given decimal degrees and I want to convert it into minutes and seconds, this is what you'll do. The 32 stays alone. This is the degree part, just like this 45 was. Then you would take 0.729 and multiply it by 60. And when we do that, we get 43.74. So what you do is you take the whole number part of that, 43, that becomes your minutes. And then then you take 0.74 and multiply it by 60. And that gives you 44.4. And so I'm going to just not worry about this little 0.4, because as far as I'm going to go down is 2 seconds. 44 seconds. And that's how we can convert by hand. Now, let me show you how to do it with your calculator, because I'm fine for you to be able to do it with your calculator, but I want you to have an understanding of what your calculator's doing. So, let us take this in your calculator. Here's something important. I'm going to show you my calculator right here. This is the one I'll be using. But whatever kind of calculator you have, you don't have to have a graphing calculator. A scientific calculator will do. You want to make sure you know what mode you're in, because soon we'll be talking about degrees, not just in angles, not just in degrees, but also in radians. That's another way we can talk about degrees. So you want to make sure your calculator is in degree mode. So when I hit the mode button, I'll show you what mine looks like. This is what mine looks like. I see that what is highlighted on mine is darkened is the degree, meaning that that's okay. You see right beside it is radians. If the radian was highlighted, I would just use my arrow button to highlight the degree and hit enter, and then I would be in degree mode. So I'm ready to go. Now what I want to do is just enter this angle into my calculator. So I'll say 32.729. And then if you hit the math button, I'll show you math button. No, I'm sorry, I led you astray. What you're supposed to do is hit the second angle button. And so if you look right there, second is the big blue button, and angle is, mine it's purple, but above it, it says angle. So that's what I'm trying to get to. And then it gives me a menu. If you hit number 4, it says DMS. That's going to convert it to degrees, minutes, seconds. So hit 4 and enter, and it tells me that my answer is 32 degrees, 43 minutes, and 44 seconds, just like I got by hand. So that's how you can convert from decimal degrees to degrees, minutes, seconds. Here's how, if we had this, let me show you how to enter this in your calculator. 45 degrees, 45, what you want to hit is second angle number 1, and that's going to give you the degree symbols. And then I'm going to hit 20, enter 20, hit second angle number 2, and that's going to give you the minute symbol. So this is what I've got so far. And now I'm going to enter 32. And so the second symbol is not in the same place. You have to hit the alpha button, which on my calculator is green, and then the plus symbol. And that would give me the seconds. And so I hit enter, and that gives me 45.342 repeating, and I rounded it to the third. So that's how you can convert by hand, also by calculator. So I want to make sure you knew how to do that. Let's see. So now we're going to practice converting. Let us do number 1. It says convert to degrees, decimal degrees to 3 decimal places. So let's do that. Number 1. I think my husband's doing some yard work. That's what all that noise is. Sorry about that. Let's see. Well, convert to decimal degrees to 3 decimal places. So the first one we have is A. (71 degrees, 43 minutes, 30 seconds). And then the second one we have is 42 degrees, 51 minutes, and 23 seconds. Okay, let's convert that. So I'm just going to use, you could do it by hand like we did before, or you can use your calculator. I'll just use my calculator. I'll say 71 degrees. So I hit second angle 1, 43 minutes, 43 second angle 2, and 71, second, angle 1, 43, second, angle 2, and now I have to enter 30 seconds, 30 alpha plus, and then when I hit enter, I get 71.725. That looks degrees. That's what that one is. Okay? Let's do the same thing here. 42 degrees, 51 minutes, 23 seconds converts into 42 second, angle 1, 51 second, angle 2, 23 alpha plus, helps me enter this exact thing on there, and I accidentally hit 4 instead of 42, but it's going to be 42.856 42.856 degrees. Okay, now the last two are to convert it to degrees, minutes, seconds. So this is super easy. Number 2, convert to this. And so the first one we have here is 35.425. And then the second one is 52.927. And this is really simple. You just put it in your calculator. So I'm just going to say 35.425. Then I'm going to hit second, angle, select number 4. And this easily converts it into 35 degrees, 25 minutes, 30 seconds. And then I'll do the second one here, 52.927 seconds, angle number 4, gives me 52 degrees, 55 minutes, 37.2 seconds. I'm just going to say 37 seconds. Okay, so that's how you can convert in between. In a minute, we're going to do the second half of this worksheet, which tells us where we just start discussing central angles and arc length and how to solve some problems with that.